welcome. I am Slick Nick. I'm gonna fade into the shadows though, because I don't matter. This video is about my mom. I made a video about this with my dad too, as far as asking where did you grow up? Because I was born and raised here in Fort Payne, Alabama, but that's not the case. In fact, you definitely were not born and raised here in Alabama. So go ahead and explain where you came from.
All right. I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York. And so what I was raised with was very long winters as far as the weather, and lots of snow. Lots of snow. It was a child's dreamland to have the snow that we had. And my dad, Nick's papa, he gave us each of us children a snow shovel. And so when we were old enough to shovel snow, we had a snow shovel. So we had to shovel the snow to for him to get his car out in the winter time. Winter was a long winter. There was lots of snow. But when you're a child, it's good. It's all good. The more snow, the better. And we had beautiful seasons. The fall season was very beautiful. I always enjoyed being outside and raking leaves, and always enjoyed that. As far as our school, our grade school that we had, there were different grade schools spread out throughout South Buffalo, and they housed from kindergarten through 6th grade. So whichever school was the closest to where you lived, that's the school you went to, and then you went there 7 years. And so ours just fortunately was just right around the block. So it was very close. We didn't have to walk several blocks to go to that. And we had several of those all around South Buffalo.
And then how old you when you moved to Alabama then?
I was 15.
So what was the culture shock there?
Oh my goodness, moving to Alabama. Wow. Yes. Well, a lot of times, the language, the speech, the language, the Southern drawl, because I came from a real sharp New York accent. And
like even the word car, they say care, right?
Car. Car. And so, car, because now when I think about how I used to say my car, everything was sharp. And so a lot of times it was like, wow. It took a while to understand for me to understand other people from around here.
Did it sound like they were mumbling? Is that kind of what it sounded like to you, or?
Yes, yeah, just kind of like, it sounded like mumbling, and like it was slurred. And then there were so many slangs. There's so many slangs in Alabama, and of course it's laughed at now, like how they say, like, mama and them, mama and them, mama and them, how's your mama and them? And so it's like, what are they saying, mama and them?
Mama, how is your mother and everybody else in your family?
Yeah, mama and them. And so, there was just a lot, yes, culture shock. One of my earliest memories, though, was seeing cotton grow. And it was just gorgeous. It was the first time in my life seeing cotton, seeing the fields of cotton. It was like, oh my goodness, that's right. Cotton grows in Alabama. We didn't have cotton growing in New York. But what a sight. I just couldn't believe that was the cotton, and it was growing.
On a plant.
Yes.
It does seem weird when you say it, like, oh yeah, this shirt came from a plant that grew in Alabama. Whatever.
And I remember one of my, riding the school bus, and the children were asking where I lived. And I said, I live in this house here and right over here. And they said, oh yeah, okay, I think that's the house that's down from the chicken houses. And so I remember saying, chicken house? What is the chicken house? I had no idea. No one had chicken houses. And they said, really? You don't know what a chicken house was? But they were very sweet, and it was very entertaining to them to have a girl from New York that was just totally born up there on the Canadian border.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, they've heard of Buffalo, but unless you've looked up on a map, and I've been there twice, it's like it's just right there next to the border.
Yes, because it was
Niagara
just
Falls.
it was just like maybe 20 minutes to get to the 20 minutes to get to the Peace Bridge.
And I drive that far more every day to work in the same state. So like that's really a small distance
Yes.
to a different country.
Yes. Yeah. So just right there on the border. But yeah, it was a great place to grow up, be a child. We had a lot of opportunities. There were a lot more, being in a different state and with taxes being higher, we just had a lot more. Let's see. Well, let's take it in school, for example. Your taxes are high, and so in school you have zero expenses, like nothing. You may buy your pens, but as far as like buying school supplies, you don't buy school supplies. So that was a concept, and that was just culture shock.
Yeah.
I mean, because up there, no, you don't buy toilet paper, paper towels, and Kleenex.
Yeah. And down here in Tennessee, because like with my son every year in school, like they give you a list of all the stuff you got to have. So it's like binders, papers, pencils, Kleenex, all this stuff, and you end up bringing this box of stuff the week before they start, so that, and it's almost like a communist kind of thing, like everybody contributes and then it's distributed to the class for the year.
Yes.
But that's all I've known. But
yes,
in other states, taxes cover all that.
Yes,
so
but
I don't
not
even know that.
Yes, but not growing up in that. That was just a concept. Which I always made sure that I would that I bought your supplies and Dana's supplies. We had them there on day one, because I knew that if we didn't bring those supplies, your school wouldn't have them. But that was a hard concept to realize. But then too, when you buy your first house in Alabama and you realize just how low the taxes are, and it was like, wow. I mean, it was just a small, tiny fraction. Like, the example, like our taxes in Alabama is somewhere like around $700 a year. We're on a 2-acre plot, and so $700. I remember before moving to Alabama, my dad, Nick's Papa Metello, paying over $2,000 taxes. So it's like, okay, I get it. So I guess it's some reason I never have a problem like hearing that taxes need to be raised a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, that would probably be a good idea. So to raise the taxes a little bit.
Yeah.
I know that isn't popular. That's not the popular thing to say.
I think that goes to the identity of the North versus the South, and that I find it interesting that here in the South, growing up in the 80s and 90s here, I guess I'll step forward a little bit to balance out the light there since I'm talking again, but I found it in high school, we went on a field trip to like the BMW plant, about 70 miles from where we are. And I started thinking, there's a lot of foreign car companies that set up shop in the South, in Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, BMW, Volkswagen, all of the Mercedes, all these foreign car companies, Toyota, Nissan in Tennessee. Why? Because it's easier for them financially, for taxes, and unions aren't as popular down here.
True.
So
true.
All that used to go up on in Michigan over the decades, this idea of in the South though, got to drive American-made cars. But what was funny is it got to the point where there were more American-made being the foreign companies here, and then a lot of the ones still in Michigan, Ford and GM and all that, a lot of their stuff is being sourced to Mexico or overseas. So it gets to the point of, well, what's actually an American car, what's a foreign car? But the concept of down here, it's, even from a financial point, people perceive things differently. It's all about more about less government. I don't want the government taking my stuff. So that kind of reflects what you're saying as far as they don't want the high taxes down here because it seems more communist, as I jokingly said a moment ago.
So then they just go ahead and, well, you just go ahead and pack your goodie box. You pack your goodie box for school, and you pay for things. You pay for whereas I grew up not paying to go on field trips. I mean, we never exchanged money. So moving here, it was like, oh wow, we have to pay for this. So we saw right off that was the change. But then the people here were shocked to hear about how much taxes were at that time in New York. And now it's crazy, because when I talk to my family in Wisconsin and we talk about taxes, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I think $700. I mean, I never feel like I can complain about $700 taxes, or would I ever feel like I needed to complain about buying paper products for school when you and Dana were growing up. Never felt like I would even complain about that.
That's a good point. To mention too that you were born and raised in Buffalo, but then your father's side was from Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Yes.
So it was either way. It was a very northern perspective.
Yes. And so, and I don't know exactly like the amount of taxes that my cousins in Wisconsin are currently paying, but we were talking. We were just talking like, hey, how much are your taxes in Alabama? They were hearing that we had low taxes here, and I said, it's right under $700. I'm just like, but there was one cousin that just lived in a regular house. It was like a ranch style house, and gosh, I mean the taxes were like $15,000 to $20,000. I thought you'd have to start saving, like you'd have to save all year to pay your taxes. Yeah. You'd have to be. These
are things I've never thought about, because this is all I've been on.
So it's me. So and then it was hard for me to understand people complaining, even though I grew up in the North and didn't buy paper products. We didn't go to school bringing our paper products, but yet in Alabama, we supplied them, for you and Dana. And so I never thought anything about it, and I never grumbled about it. But a lot of people had problems with that. And so, there was one time, but I don't know, it was just hard for people to grasp the concept of it. Like, well, no, we didn't buy paper products up in New York, but taxes are a lot higher. Well, they're feeling about
a trade-off.
Yeah, so it was always no, we don't want our taxes raised. We don't want our taxes raised. Well, I mean, it's the same, but it's almost the same, right?
A trade-off.
Yeah.
Closing question, because I'm trying to keep this under 15 minutes so that it shows up in more feeds on Facebook or on YouTube. Closing question. If you were to picture a state that you would consider home for you, what would that state be?
That would definitely be Alabama. I was in New York for 15 years and 15 and a half years, and now in Alabama for 45 and a half. And so this is home.
And just now
this is home.
When you said that, people got confused because they're doing the math. They're like, wait, how old is your mom? So yeah, you just had your birthday.
Oh yeah, I just had my birthday, and I just turned 61.
Yeah, so every time you show up and you mention your age, people never believe it. So like, yeah, you did hear that right.
Because I moved in October 1973, and I was 15 and a half, and I've just now had my birthday. So yeah, so I was 15 and a half years in 15 and a half years in New York, and then 45 and a half. 45 and a half. So yeah. I was trying to do the math in my head. Yeah. And so Alabama, love Alabama. It's a great place for us to raise our family. We're so blessed to be here. And I know that I had the difference between, I love the outdoors. I love planting. I love flowers and trees, and I just, anytime I get a chance, I'll let stuff go, slide a little bit in the house so I can run outside and dig in the dirt. But we had to wait a long time. I mean, it's just the way it is up north. You have to wait, and you have to wait till the freeze is clear. And so in Buffalo, that was May before I could start my little flower garden. I always had my little flower garden. And so here, we can get out. I can get out and work in the yard in December and January. It's crazy. I mean, and of course too, we didn't have a hard winter. This winter was not hard.
Our time's up. Thank you so much. 15 minutes, I got to cut it off, but thanks for this conversation.
Thank you.